Turn that down there, turn that off. Sorry for the mic handling here. I apologize. I'll try to be as gentle as possible here so it's not super noisy. How's it going? Nice to see you. Little bit of Vince Guaraldi Trio, some classic music from Charlie Brown. I've never seen one of these LPs in person before. We've got a Charlie Brown Christmas on DVD, and it comes with a CD soundtrack, so it has a bunch of his music on it. But it's great to have found a vinyl version. I guess when this first came out, it came with all these prints, these Charles Schultz prints. This copy that I found used today doesn't have any of the prints. A first edition is what it says. Cost me a whole $7. So really, really nice. Had a meeting kind of down near, and then a nice write-up on the inside on the gatefold. Had a meeting down near probably, you know, the best record store here in town, Into the Music, and just popped in because I had a bit of time to kill before I had to be at the meeting, which is a great idea and a bad idea because, of course, I found some stuff. They're having a Black Friday sale tomorrow, but the things that I found there, the records I found there, I didn't want to take a chance to wait for another day just to get the 15% off. So I figured I'd jump on them, and that was one of them. So kind of just wanted to talk a little bit about some records that I've picked up in the past little while. Start off with ones that I don't necessarily have the most to say about. At a dig in a Valley Village, I don't know, about a week ago or so, found a stack of 45s of a bunch of Italian music. And if for the one or two of you out there that might possibly listen to the radio show Dead Air that I do on Tuesday nights, you'll have heard a couple of these. On last week's episode, I started off the show playing some of these, the ones that I enjoyed the most. Just kind of make my way through the stack here. These were the ones that kind of jumped out at me. Let's see here. Paolo and the I Crazy Boys. They're not in the best of shape, but they were all cheap. And the older Italian music, these are all from kind of the 60s, and I think creeping into the 70s, but I think mostly 60s. It was worth it just buying the whole stack for the few gems that I did find. There's a few that maybe aren't the greatest, but that's okay. I do have a Discogs account. I may just throw them up on there to see if anybody wants them. This one is a really good one. Yeah, really, really great cover. Gianni Morandi, another great one. Unfortunately, the record inside isn't these tracks that are on the sleeve. They're completely different. And one of them, to my surprise, or maybe it's both of them, I think they both have. Yeah, you probably won't. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Focus, maybe? Yeah, there you go. Ennio Morricone. I believe that's his orchestra, or maybe he was conducting the orchestra that played the songs here. So that's very, very cool. That was a nice surprise. And these are two really good tracks on there. Both of them are real solid. Somebody that goes by the name of Little Tony. And this is a pretty solid kind of straight ahead rock and roll type of couple of tunes there, but still has that Italian 60s feel that I really enjoy. This one's kind of like a tango, Viva la Biga, Zazzone Tango. So there you go. A couple of ads for the other ones there. These, as great as the covers were, I was a little disappointed in the actual tunes themselves. Gabriella Ferri. Yeah, I mean, fantastic. And this label, Jolly. And there's the back side to that one. Just looked like, I thought these were going to be real hits, but no such luck. But again, always worth the gamble. Had a viewer. A viewer is gone. This is records. This isn't comics. This isn't some chat like I had before. And then another one of her records as well. Another pretty great cover. Anyway, and then there's a stack more, but those were the highlights for me for sure. That just combination of art and music for the most part. On Halloween, I'd placed an order on Discogs. The sales are kind of dropping off on there, but I have made a few, and I managed to find a few records from one particular seller that, to be honest, the one record out of the few that I bought from him that I was most excited about showed up just completely trashed, not as he had described in the Discogs listing whatsoever. Fortunately, he was kind enough to give me a full refund on it, which was great because, yeah, it was all split. It's split over here as well. I kept it. He let me keep it. I was completely willing to send it back to him if he wanted it back to try to resell. I was fine with that. But thankfully, he was good enough to kind of reimburse me, and I did end up keeping it. And I have the record itself is in great shape. The vinyl itself is beautiful. So I did listen to it, and it's really, really great. It's another one in these the electronic music series that I've got three others of. This is volume number 5 from Turnabout Records, and it's killer. I think it's the first track on side 2. Really, really great. There's just some, I think I said it before, this is music from the Dartmouth International Electronic Music Competitions, 1969 and 1970. The fact that this kind of stuff was getting produced then kind of boggles my mind. The kind of chaos of this first track on side 2. It's amazing, really, really great, and it sounds so completely modern to me. I still have this on a wish list because I would like to find a copy that's in decent shape. Like, look at that. It's just absolutely trash. So I was a little disappointed because this one, the two that I'm missing, I haven't seen them so far for too cheap. This one was kind of cheap, but again, not so good. I believe this was in that same order from the guy, or maybe it was the other one. I don't know. Maybe I've shown this one before. I did get a couple of haunted house records from him. I believe this was one of them. A Disneyland one. And like I said, they showed up at Halloween, like on Halloween itself, which was great. So we came home and we listened to some of this stuff while we were eating dinner and kind of played it while we were handing out some candy. There was that one. The one that hit the record player right away, though, was this one from Pickwick, Monster Mash and Sounds of Terror, with a just incredible cover and an even better backside. Really great. This one is a lot of fun. So it is the Monster Mash. The first tune is the Monster Mash, and then it goes into people transforming into werewolves, that sort of thing. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, etc. Really, really entertaining, though. I really love these old Halloween records. Gonna try to get some more for next year. And then today, the other ones that I picked up today, one that I was really excited about. There was a kind of producer named Joe Meek. There was a movie about him. I think it was called Telstar. And then there was a great documentary on him and his life. He had done a lot of the stuff he was doing, the records he was producing, or the songs that he was producing. He was producing things out of like a house, out of his house, and doing all sorts of strange things, you know, running mics to bathrooms, doing all sorts of tape manipulations and things like that. And I believe this one was 1964. I don't remember when this one was. I wonder if it says. A really, really great find, though. Again, I've heard the title track. I've probably heard a couple of other tracks, but none of them stuck with me quite like Telstar did. He is credited with writing 3 of the songs on here, and the rest is written by members of the band The Tornadoes. Yeah, there's not a year on here. I'm wanting to say early 60s, but now I don't quite remember. And it's in fantastic shape. And this is it. Telstar, the sounds of the tornadoes. And if you haven't heard this title track, Telstar, just look it up on YouTube and give it a listen. Really, really good, really great track. And if you can track down the movie, I want to say that the documentary about Joe here on YouTube, that you can find it on YouTube. I'm pretty sure that's where I had seen it before. And if you are a movie torrenter, or check on IMDb, I believe the docudrama that was made about his life was called Telstar as well. And it just kind of talks about his career, how he started. He didn't get as much love as his kind of career went on. Just talks a lot about his personal life, and that sort of thing. Really, really entertaining. Something that I don't know I've ever seen. I know this gentleman's name. Klaus Wunderlich shows up a lot in Value Village bins. He's kind of along the lines of, what's the other guy's name? I'm completely blanking on his name now. Nonstop Dancing and all that kind of stuff. Shoot, what the hell is his name? Completely drawing a blank. Anyway, I couldn't pass this one up for the couple of dollars. Klaus Wunderlich with his Sound 2000, the Moog organ and rhythm. Gee, what up? So this one I think is going to be a hell of an entertaining listen. I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm really looking forward to it. What does he do on this one? Cherokee, Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, Charade, a couple of original compositions. So he talks about on the back about how he had to record one track at a time and kind of play back and record over top of it. He plays his Hammond organ on it as well. He also plays the drums as well. He says the only normal instruments on this record are drums, tambourine, and bongos. All the others, including the bass and even the cowbells, were produced by the synthesizer. I hope I have produced a few surprises for you. Here's wishing you lots of fun with this LP. Sincerely, Klaus. I'm excited about this. I love me some Moog records, so this one's going to be entertaining. I've never seen it before, even though he's one of those guys that just seems to pop up everywhere. And then there was another Moog record there too, Cloud d'Angers and the Moog synthesizer. Phase 4 Stereo Spectacular from London Records. This Phase 4 series I've seen before. I think I have one other one that's all percussion. Great art on this. and beautiful. Besides that kind of damage on the side there, the sleeve itself, like the jacket itself, is in beautiful shape. And then we got another gatefold look there. This one's going to be exciting as well. Come Together, Lay Lady Lay, Bridge Over Troubled Water, Proud Mary, House of the Rising Sun, Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, everything. Na Na, Hey Hey, Kiss Him Goodbye, Nights in White Satin. Oh my gosh. It's going to romance the pants off me, this record. So, yeah. It's always a dangerous affair going into this record store, but when you find beautiful things like this, it's hard to resist. And finally, one of the last times I was there, I was talking to the owner, Greg, about kind of older electronic music, like that electronic music series. Oh, Volstix. I'm good, man. It's been a while since I've seen you. How are you doing? And I got to talking to him about some of those records, and he's a big fan of that stuff as well. And he was showing me some records that he had on hold, kind of put aside for himself. So when I went in today, I was flipping through. He came in, and he said, "Oh, I'm glad you're here. I have something for you. I put something aside for you." So he had they had purchased a big collection from CBC radio in town here, and are still going through a lot of the stuff. So one of the things that he pulled out to set aside for me was this, and I have no idea about it. It's a music for mathematics, played by IBM 7090 computer and digital to sound transducer. So that's the front of that from Decca Records. And on the back, how many tracks are there? 10, 18, I believe. It looks like there's 18 tracks on it. MV Matthews, J.R. Pierce, MV Matthews, someone named Spieth, D. Lewin, N. Gutman, etc. A bunch of names that I don't know, and a beautiful write-up. So that's going to be, I think that's going to be something. I don't quite know what to expect. It wasn't on any sort of wish list that I have currently going on Discogs, so I haven't stumbled onto it in my look. Yes. I believe Johnny Trunk and Trunk Records have put out a lot of his stuff. Name of the guy who made his own electronic instruments, American. I think his name was Raymond something. I believe you're right, and I'm blanking on his name too. It might come to me in a moment, but there's the Decca hub there for you. Oh man, that's really gonna bug me. Not Raymond Scott. Was it Raymond Scott? Anyway, so, because did he also have records like Sounds to Soothe Baby, that sort of thing? I think he had a series of kind of really out there electronic kind of albums. But I think you're right. I think he built a lot of his own instruments. Yeah, Johnny Trunk Records. If you know Johnny Trunk, you absolutely should check out Trunk Records. Trunk Records is unbelievable. He's put out some incredible stuff. I did a pre-order for they're finally releasing Francis Coppola's The Conversation soundtrack on vinyl. It has never been released before. I love Francis Coppola's The Conversation. I absolutely love. Yeah, Sounds to Soothe Babies. Yeah. I love Coppola's The Conversation. I think it's his best film. I love the tone of it. I love the acting. I was never a huge Gene Hackman fan until I saw that. Every other time I'd seen Gene Hackman before, he was just so full of bravado. Yeah, Conversation on vinyl. He was just so full of, like, really loud and boisterous, and I just didn't really his acting style didn't really appeal to me, but in the conversation, he plays the exact opposite. This real kind of quiet, solitary individual, plays the saxophone. His job is to kind of eavesdrop on people. So he has all these kind of all this recording equipment to spy on people's conversations. And he thinks he stumbles onto a murder plot, rather. And it's just him kind of moving through that. Brilliant movie. Apparently it was one that Coppola always wanted to do. He almost passed up doing The Godfather, I believe, so he could do The Conversation. Did he do it maybe between Godfather Part 1 and Part 2? I don't remember exactly the timeline on it. But either way, the music on it is really, really amazing. So that's going to be really exciting. And that's through Johnny Trunk. And Johnny Trunk really delves into a lot of old library music, and he's a real digger when it comes to old music, especially when it comes to kind of British radiophonic workshop, etc., those type of things. He really digs into old soundtracks and tries to reissue or release for the first time some of these kind of lost in time records. So I'm super excited to have that on vinyl. Kevin Martin, who goes by the name of The Bug, the first Bug full length was an alternate soundtrack to The Conversation that was released on Word Sound. It was released on Word Sound back in, I don't know, mid-90s-ish, probably somewhere around there. And that's really cool too. He does a really good job. It's not how he sounds now as The Bug. This is kind of a really different version of that kind of same moniker that's well worth listening to. And I actually played it along a couple of times. I tried to pick out some sections and played it along to parts of the movie, and it worked very well. Gave it a kind of different feel. But yeah, so The Conversation, anybody out there watching this after it's aired, Trunk Records, a hell of a guy to check out. I have a book. I think I've talked about it before. I think I showed the library music book. Johnny Trunk was responsible for that one as well, and it kind of goes through all the cover designs on a lot of these old library records. So yeah, absolutely, 100%. The great, John Cazale is in The Conversation. Amazing actor. Frito from Godfather. Yeah, absolutely. And he's phenomenal in The Conversation as well, too. He's really great. For a while there, I was using, there's this little great clip about, I wonder what they're talking about. And this is John saying, I wonder what they're talking about. Aren't you ever curious? And he just kind of responds like, I don't care what they're talking about. All I care about is a nice fat recording. And I just loved that line so much. So I ended up using that on some mixtapes and things before the first tune would kind of drop. That was it. I just felt like talking about a few records. Yeah. Nothing more really to say about it other than I'm going to sit and listen to some music and see what happens and see what the hell this one's all about. I think this will be right on top. Yeah, the pen microphone. Yeah, absolutely. It's a killer movie. I'm glad you know it. It's one of those that I've watched. It's also one of those movies that possibly has, I was so excited when I finally got the DVD version of it because there was a commentary track on it. And it's possibly the worst commentary track I've ever heard in my life. Coppola is boring as shit talking about that movie. There's some good kind of nuggets in there for sure, but he ends up repeating himself quite a bit, and it's really, really dull. It's really, really dull, very disappointing. Either way, still a great movie. Doesn't take away from the fact that it's an amazing movie, and you should see it, everybody out there. Thanks, man. I will enjoy the records. Enjoy your night, and everybody else who popped in. Gee, it was nice to see you there for a moment. And thanks very much. We'll talk to you.